What's up, what's up, what's up, you guys? It's Xno here, and we're going to be creating a new dynasty and a new head coach. Obviously, I'm not going to be playing on my Florida State dynasty, that's my own personal dynasty, but we're going to be creating an offline dynasty here, and we're going to be going from scratch. We're going to be going from nothing. So, you see me here, I'm going to create myself, and obviously, I can't really create myself to my fullest because they don't give you a lot of options for coaches like they do for players. So obviously I'm gonna have to make do with what I can and what I have in front of me. So I picked the dude that I think is the the closest fit to me. I mean he's as close as I can get. So I keep going, and we're gonna now be talking about my offensive and defensive strategy for my entire career. So what I like to do is I like to play the spread option, keep them guessing, and I like to go with more of a pass-oriented offense than a run. But you will see me run the ball quite effectively when I do run the ball, and I like it to be aggressive and sub somewhat frequently and have that aggressive no huddle style. But I also like to play 4-2-5 defense, a very aggressive style defense, very balanced when defending the pass and the run, and having a good bit of subs because you have to get your players, in the rotation. You got to get your players all fresh. You got to keep them fresh for as long as you possibly can, that being 4 quarters. So we're going to start our coaching level from scratch. We're going to start at level 1. So that means we're going to have one unlock token for our recruiting or game management tree. But we're going to start on default. No generated auto names because I do not like that. We're going to name this Dynasty file YT1, standing for YouTube number 1. Now, I will accept different ideas for another YouTube Dynasty, but only after this one gets into a couple seasons, like a season or two at least, and then get a couple ideas from the fans to see what team they would like to see me use. But we're going to play on Heisman. That's the difficulty I like to play on because it presents a challenge to me. And if you want to see good quality, hard-fought battles, then we're gonna be playing on Heisman to give you that. Because if I play on varsity or All-American, we're probably going to blow every team out by at least 25 or 30 points. So I had to keep the dynasty skill level for both sides on Heisman. Now, you see me here doing the custom conferences, and that's because this game, NCAA Football 14, was not completely set up for this season. So you have to go in and create different conference different conference teams. So I had to put Louisville in the ACC, move Rutgers to the Big Ten, and then I had to move quite a few teams out of the Conference USA into the American Conference, as well as moving a few teams into the Sun Belt Conference. So there was a lot of moving going on right here. I tried to speed this portion of the video up because it would take me probably 5 minutes by myself with this video alone to get all the stuff in the correct order, and I had to pull up a list on my computer to make sure. So you see me here changing the division names of the American conferences, and I have to switch the 2 Florida teams to the other side on the east because obviously Florida's not on the west coast. So I switch those 2 teams over, and I go through and I make sure everything is correct, and I go back and put those teams into the Sun Belt that I said needed to be there: Idaho, New Mexico State, and a couple of others. So I place those teams in the Sun Belt, and then I go into the conference rules for the athletic conference just to make sure the rivalries are protected, and they weren't when I started up, so I protected the rivalries. I didn't really know any of the hardcore rivalries, but now we're going to be starting. What team will I be the head coach of? What team's going to be the dynasty, the next great team in college football? So I gave myself 5 respins, and what I did was I held the joystick and the D-pad both to the right. Let fate decide. I didn't even look at the computer screen or the monitor when I did this. Then I just kept going. First team I landed on was Illinois. I said, no way I can do that. Use one of my reasons. So that was the first team. The second team was West Virginia. I had already done a dynasty with West Virginia before, and I was burnt out on them. I didn't want to do another one. So the third team I came up with was Tulane, the Green Wave. I said, there's no way I'm picking Tulane. It would have been a decent idea, but I wasn't going to do it. But we land on the North Carolina Tar Heels. As you see on the screen, you see the past 6 seasons, and you can see to the far right-hand corner, the 2016 season. That's where we're going to leave our mark and start this dynasty off strong. Stronger than the past 6 seasons have been from 20, I think that is 8 or 2006 or some shit like that to 13. So we're going to show the college football world what it means to be a North Carolina Tar Heel. So I go through my upgrade tree. I put it on scouting because I don't really do game management to start off, because I can pretty much find ways to win without that game management filled out. So I'm good on the game management, and I make sure both my OC and DC do something for the players that'll help their stamina and injury, because I don't want my players to be getting gassed before the game really gets going, before we really get started. So we're going to go set up our recruiting board real quick. And the way I did the recruiting board was I picked up a bunch of players that showed interest, but also some that didn't, but they were highly ranked in the recruiting. So you see me, when I first start off, I go to the quarterback position. I pick up the number 1 quarterback, put him on my board. See another quarterback I show a little bit of interest in. And then I check my needs before I get too far going into this. So I check my needs to see what positions we need. So I pick up another third quarterback who showed interest in this. And then you see me here picking up a running back. Then I pick up a second running back, 4-star, first on his board are the Tar Heels. So we're going to get on that man right away. You see me grab 2 fullbacks. I grabbed quite a few wide receivers. Now near the end, I was like, man, I gotta cut a couple of you because I don't have enough space on the board. My board filled up before I got to free safety, and I usually like to give me a handful of athletes at the end, so I had to go ahead and just cut a couple people. So receiver was one of the key positions that just got a couple of cuts. And you see 2 tight ends, first on one of them's interest, I believe. And then the other one was interested, I think 4th. I love me some tight ends. They create hella mismatches for defenses. And you could see that happening in the national championship game, where O.J. Howard just completely shredded the Clemson defense. I mean, shredded. He was so wide open. Jake Coker didn't have to put effort into throwing the ball because he was that wide open. But my other question was for the Clemson defense, like, why was there nobody on him? And there was just so many mismatches that he was so damn fast that the linebackers had no way of keeping up, and the safeties were just not physical enough to handle O.J. Howard. Now, I'm not an Alabama fan at all. But I had to give kudos and credit to Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin for the way they played in the play called in the national championship game. It was just a great game by Alabama, and Clemson showed a great determination, but they just came up short near the end. But you see me here, I'm looking for more players. I'm gonna pick up this 4-star cornerback because I figure I want an aggressive back end. I want my safeties and my corners to be the best that I can get. So I picked up that one that was interested in me, and you see me almost filling up my recruiting board. So I have to go back into it, cut a couple of players so that I can add some players to my recruiting board. So I take off a couple of players. You see me take off the second quarterback here because he wasn't interested in me, and I already had another top quarterback on there. So I just cut him off completely. You see me cut off a couple of wide receivers here. I'm going to start off by cutting a 68 overall. Then I keep my tight ends. I got to keep my tight ends, you guys. My tight ends are going to create so many mismatches. It's going to be fun to see how the tight ends and all the other players progress. You see me cut the number 1 tackle. I had to cut him because I had The 3 other tackles, all 3 level 70s, they were all interested in me. So I had to let that one tackle go. As we go move on to D tackle, I had a particular need for D tackle, so I had to cut one of them, but I still had to keep a couple on my board. I didn't have any need for outside linebackers, but I figured, man, I gotta keep a couple on there because I want to have a good defense. I want to have depth. So even though I didn't have the need for them, I needed some availability there. So I wanted to keep them on there, possibly get 1 or 2 of them, snag them, pick them up, and maybe they can make an automatic impact as a freshman. So that's what I really look for. And then I go over to my defensive team needs. I need a D tackle and strong safety and a free safety. So I go through and I pick up a key interest player, 4th on his board, and another 6th on his board. So I go in, I pick up a random strong safety. I pick up one 3-star that we're 1st on his board. So I kind of, and you can see me go back and forth with dropping and picking up players. Now I get here to the athletes, and this is my favorite portion to see what kind of athletes I can pick up and what kind of athletes are interested in me, because athletes can make all the difference when you need a player at that position that's going to step up. So you can put an athlete anywhere on the field, but they have certain strong points, but it's key to pick up good athletes so that we can get this North Carolina team on the ball, rolling, doing really good first year under me. So I'm going through and I'm just going to kind of go through and see if I can just release a couple players off my board just to free up some space for some athletes. So I go to my outside linebackers and I cut 2 off the outside linebackers in that so I can pick up 2 more athletes. I pick up those athletes pretty soon here, and it's pretty good for me to pick up as many key players as I can get, because I don't know how my team's going to pan out for the rest of the career here at North Carolina. So the next couple of years my team might really regress, but they might also rise. So that's why I'm doing this recruiting and trying to figure out who's got what it takes to be a North Carolina Tar Heel and see who's going to be my starters in the next couple of years. So I'm going to try to keep it as good as I can on my recruiting. And then I go back and we got to check some stuff out, guys. We got to look for our red shirts. So we go in our red shirts, and I go in and I pick out the players that look like they can have the most impact, and mainly most of them are true freshmen. So the true freshmen, I go in and I just redshirt some of them, and see that senior there, he looked like he could get on the field possibly every now and then, so I kept him out there. There's no use in redshirting a senior if he has the possibility to play, so I just kept him out there. I redshirted a couple of more freshmen. You see all these true freshmen that I'm redshirting, and the only reason I'm doing that is to keep my team as good as it can be. So the more freshmen, sophomores you redshirt, the better the team can be the next few years, because that's an extra year you can have the player on your roster. So I go into my recruiting board again, and I go to do my scouting because I had not done that previously. So I go in and I start scouting the first 10 players, I believe, just to see how they're going to pan out, see which ones are gems, which ones are busts, if I can get that much. And see that one right there, he looked like a bust. Couple players on the rise, couple of them not moving, several of them not moving right now, and a couple of them going down, couple going up. It's always a toss-up, which players are going to go up, which ones are going to go down, so you got to just mess around, see who's there, and then you can cut certain players that you don't think are going to be up to snuff, don't think they're going to be too good in the recent or next years. So that's what I did. I looked up and see who was going to be making a statement to me, who was going to be good in the recruiting process. And you see that gym right there, that gym at center. It looked like he's going to be pretty good. Can't do all my scouting because I didn't have enough points. They give you 1,000 points, and that's really nowhere near enough to scout those players. So we're going to go into the depth chart now. I didn't really have any key concerns here. I just wanted to make sure everybody was in the right spot. But what I remembered was Ryan Switzer. He is the number 2 punt returner in the nation, only, and I mean only, behind Christian McCaffrey. Now, Ryan Switzer, I know if I put him back there, he's going to make plays. Ryan Switzer makes plays all the time. So we're going to put him back there, kick returner and punt returner, just to make sure we can get all our kick and punt returns into the next level. We don't want to have somebody back there that really can't make a move on the first player. So what I did was I picked a neutral site game for the South Carolina game because I'll be damned if I'm playing at South Carolina. So I said, all right, we're going to pick a neutral site game. It took me a while for some reason, but I picked the Cowboy Stadium. We will not lose to the South Carolina Gamecocks, I swear on it. It seems like the past 2 or 3 seasons, North Carolina has played South Carolina first game of the season and lost, and I'm not having that. This is not the way we're going to run this team. So you see me pick up the Tennessee game, and then I go in and I pick up another game against the Minnesota Gophers, Week 7. So I wanted to make sure my out-of-conference schedule was, had that, kind of reformed ability to be, better than average, because there was a problem in real life with the North Carolina Tar Heels that said their schedule was just not tough enough. It didn't have the strength. It was just, that's why it took them so long to get ranked inside the top 10, because they just didn't really play anybody in real life. And that first game loss to South Carolina really hurt them. But we see North Carolina go 11-1 in the regular season. They went to the ACC championship game and played Clemson. Now, we're going to look at the preseason rankings just to see where the Tar Heels are ranked. I was expecting, lower 40s, maybe the higher 30s. But I go and I'm looking at 52. It kind of pissed me off, kind of got me upset, kind of got me thinking, man, we're going to prove everybody wrong this season. We're going to win all 12 of these games, and we're going to make it to the next level. We're going to make it to the ACC championship against whoever it might be. And we're going to make it to a good bowl game, BCS bowl game for sure, or quite possibly a national championship game. So we are going to be fighting hard this whole season. I look at the championship contention thing for 4 years, panned out to be a B, so it was all right. That was fine. But thank you guys for watching, and until next time, I'm Noel signing out. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.